Be me, Alan. Early 30s, stuck in the same mid-tier tech firm long enough to have my name on half the internal docs. The job's comfortable in that dangerous way, pays well enough, keeps my brain occupied, and rarely pushes me to the point of existential dread. The crew I run is reliable. We've got a decent mix, but when it comes to the technical backbone, it's basically me, Otis, and a third guy named Osman holding everything together. Otis is our UI/UX guy. He's cynical as hell, complains about everything, but his design instincts are flawless. The kind of guy who calls a user an idiot, but then designs an interface so simple that even that idiot could use it. Osman is our lead developer, a quiet dude who is basically a code wizard. He doesn't say much, but when he does, it's either to point out a critical flaw in your logic or to ask for another coffee. Give him a difficult problem and a quiet corner, and he'll come back with a solution that's cleaner and more efficient than you thought possible. We've been working together for a long time. We have a good rhythm. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We don't do drama, we just get the work done. The whole department runs pretty smoothly on that principle. Competence over anything else. That is, until the email goes out. Corporate announces a restructuring of our department's management. Our old boss, a straightforward guy who mostly left us alone as long as we hit our deadlines, was being moved to another branch. His replacement is someone from outside the company. Her name is Ivana. The day she arrives, you can feel the air change. The director calls an all-hands meeting in the main conference room to introduce her. She walks in with this incredibly bright but completely forced smile. She's dressed in that very specific style of corporate power casual that screams, "I have a master's degree in something useless but expensive." She gives a speech. It's a masterclass in corporate buzzword bingo. She talks about fostering synergy, leveraging our core competencies, and shifting the paradigm of our workflow. My eyes glaze over. I look over at Otis, who is very deliberately examining the ceiling tiles as if they're the most fascinating thing he's ever seen. Then her tone shifts. The corporate mask slips a little, and you can see the ideologue underneath. She starts talking about the need to create a more equitable and inclusive workspace. Okay, fine, whatever. Be nice to people. I can get on board with that. But then she keeps going. She mentions the importance of dismantling subconscious patriarchal structures that can stifle creativity. I feel a weird prickle on the back of my neck. I glance at Osman. For the first time all morning, he's not looking at his phone. He's staring at her, completely expressionless. She looks around the room, and her eyes seem to linger on the male employees, especially our little group. She talks about how tech has historically been a male-dominated field, and that this can create an environment where some voices are overly assertive, while others are not heard. I think about our meetings. The person who talks the most is our most senior female engineer, because she's brilliant and has the best ideas. No one is trying to shut her up. We're all trying to keep up. But Ivana is painting a picture that doesn't look anything like our office. The meeting ends. Everyone shuffles out. There's a weird tension in the air. A few days pass. Things are strange. Ivana schedules one-on-one meetings with all the female employees, but not the male ones. She holds listening sessions in conference rooms, but the invites only go to women. Then, about a week after she started, she calls another all-hands meeting. This is the one that changes everything. We're all gathered in the conference room again. Ivana stands at the front with a PowerPoint presentation behind her. The first slide just has one word on it: Phoenix. She announces that the company has approved a massive new flagship project, codenamed Phoenix. It's a complete overhaul of our main product, a top-to-bottom redesign and rebuild. Huge budget, high stakes. A little buzz of excitement goes through the room. This is the kind of project people build their careers on. Then she drops the other shoe. She explains that to ensure the success of Project Phoenix, she is creating a specialized task force. This task force, she says, needs a unique environment to foster the kind of groundbreaking creativity the project requires. It needs a safe space, free from the daily microaggressions and unconscious biases of a traditionally male-centric workspace. My brain takes a second to process what she's saying. She's splitting the team. By gender. She clicks to the next slide. It's a list of names under the Project Phoenix banner. Every single one is a woman. Charlie, a junior but very bright developer, looks a little surprised but pleased. The other women are smiling. Ivana explains that the Phoenix team will be moving into the newly renovated corner office space. The one with the big windows, the new desks, and the fancy espresso machine. They get brand new top-of-the-line computers and a dedicated budget for anything they need. A feeling of cold dread starts to settle in my stomach. She clicks the slide again. A new heading appears. Legacy Systems Support. Underneath it are our names. Alan, Otis, Osman. She turns to the three of us. The fake smile is back, but now it's dripping with condescension. She explains that while the A team is focused on the future, it's crucial that someone keeps the lights on. Our job, she announces, will be to handle maintenance for all our old products. Bug fixes, server upkeep, customer support escalations, the grunt work. She says it's an important role, but her tone says the exact opposite. Otis, who has been silent this whole time, finally speaks up. "So, where will we be working from?" he asks, his voice deceptively neutral. Ivana doesn't miss a beat. "We've found a dedicated space for you to focus without distractions. The old storage room at the end of the server hallway." The storage room. It's not an office. It's a windowless closet filled with old cables and broken chairs, right next to a server rack that whines like a jet engine 24/7. The injustice of it is so blatant, so cartoonishly evil, that it's almost funny. I look at the director, who is standing in the back of the room. He just gives a little shrug, a clear sign that he's given Ivana full authority and doesn't want to be bothered. He cares about results, not methods. The meeting is over. The women are all buzzing with excitement, congratulating each other as they head off to look at their new office. The three of us are left standing there. Otis lets out a long, slow breath. "Well, boys," he says with a humorless smirk, "we've been sent to the gulag. The next day is humiliating. We have to pack up our desks while the Phoenix team is having a catered welcome breakfast in their new space. We wheel our chairs and carry our boxes down the long hallway to the storage closet. It's even worse than I remembered. It's dusty, cramped, and smells like hot plastic." Osman takes one look, says nothing, pulls out his industrial-grade noise-canceling headphones, and starts methodically clearing a corner for his desk. It takes us half a day just to make the space habitable. We throw out junk, wipe down surfaces, and find 3 mismatched chairs that don't wobble too much. By the time we're set up, our 3 desks are crammed together so tightly you have to squeeze to get between them. The constant hum of the servers is already giving me a headache. The first week is miserable. Ivana floods our inbox with low-priority maintenance tickets, tedious, mind-numbing work that could be done by an intern. Resetting passwords for clients who forgot them for the 5th time. Fixing typos in user manuals for products that are 5 years old. It feels like being punished for a crime we didn't commit. Meanwhile, from the other end of the building, we can hear sounds of laughter and brainstorming sessions from the Phoenix team. They have daily meetings with catered lunches. They're not working. They're LARPing as a Silicon Valley startup. Otis is getting more and more bitter. He spends half his day scrolling through news sites and making cynical comments under his breath. Osman is just quiet. He does his work with brutal efficiency and then sits there, staring into space, his headphones on. I'm trying to keep it together, trying to be the lead, but there's nothing to lead. We're not a team anymore. We're just 3 guys in a box doing chores. The morale is in the toilet. Then something changes. It happens about 2 weeks in. We've already cleared the entire backlog of tickets Ivana gave us. It was a joke. The 3 of us, working at maybe 25% capacity, finished a month's worth of legacy support in 8 days. A new batch of tickets hasn't come in yet, so we're just sitting there, in silence, in the buzzing, windowless room. I'm about to suggest we just go home early when Otis suddenly swivels his chair around. "Hey, Alan," he says. "Remember Project Chimera?" I groan. Chimera was a project from about 2 years ago. It was an ambitious attempt to build a powerful analytics tool for our biggest clients. It was my idea, my baby. It was technically brilliant, but it was shelved because the user interface was a disaster. It was slow, buggy, and so complicated that you needed a PhD to understand it. Management killed it, and it was a sore spot for me ever since. One of our duties as the legacy team is to maintain the dormant server it sits on. "What about it?" I ask. "I was bored, so I was poking around in the source code," he says, pulling it up on his screen. This thing is a mess. The back-end architecture is a nightmare. He turns to Osman. Hey, code wizard, take a look at this. Osman silently rolls his chair over. He looks at Otis's screen for about 30 seconds, his eyes scanning the lines of code. Then he says very softly, "This is all wrong. The core database query is inefficient. It's trying to do 10 things at once. You could rebuild the entire engine to be asynchronous. It would run 100 times faster." Otis looks at Osman, then at me. A little spark appears in his eyes, the first I've seen in weeks. 100 times faster? Otis repeats. If it were that fast, you could actually build a decent front end for it. Something clean, something that doesn't look like the control panel for a nuclear reactor. He starts sketching on a small whiteboard we'd salvaged from the trash. He's drawing wireframes, menus, dashboards. My heart starts beating a little faster. I walk over to the whiteboard. The reason it was killed wasn't just the UI, I say. Marketing said they couldn't figure out who to sell it to. The use case was too niche. That was then, I continue, the ideas starting to flow. But our client base has changed in the last 2 years. They're more data-driven now. If we could simplify the output, focus on just 3 or 4 key metrics, and present it in a way a business manager could understand. The three of us stand there, looking at the whiteboard. The air in the tiny hot room is different. The hum of the servers doesn't seem so annoying anymore. It feels like hope. We don't have any official assignment, I say, almost to myself. We don't have a budget, Otis adds. We don't have permission, Osman says, his first full sentence of the day. I look at them. A slow grin spreads across my face. And we don't have a manager breathing down our necks every 5 minutes, I say. We have nothing but time and a bunch of old hardware. Let's do it. Let's fix Chimera. For the first time since the split, we have a purpose. We call it Project Cerberus, our secret 3-headed monster. And we get to work. The next month is a blur of intense, focused effort. It's the most productive I've ever been in my life. We operate like a single unit. There are no meetings, no status reports, no corporate jargon. If I have a question for Osman, I just turn my head and ask him. If Otis needs my input on a design, he just rolls his chair over. Osman takes on the monumental task of rebuilding the entire back end. He works with a quiet, ferocious intensity. He comes in early, he stays late. Some days I'm not sure he goes home at all. He fills pages of a notebook with complex diagrams and then translates them into thousands of lines of elegant, efficient code. Otis completely throws out the old user interface and starts from scratch. He obsesses over every little detail, the placement of a button, the shade of a color, the font size. He's building something that isn't just functional, but actually beautiful to use. He complains the entire time, of course, but it's the complaining of a craftsman who is never satisfied with good enough. My job is to be the strategist. I dig through years of old client feedback and market analysis reports. I put together a comprehensive business plan for the new and improved Chimera. I build spreadsheets, charts, and presentations. I'm defining the what and the why, so Osman and Otis can focus on the how. We exist completely under the radar. Ivana and her team are so wrapped up in their own world that they don't even think about us. Every now and then, a new batch of tedious support tickets comes in. We pause what we're doing, spend a few hours knocking them out, and then dive right back into Cerberus. It's the perfect cover. As long as the grunt work gets done, no one bothers us. Our little closet becomes our sanctuary. We bring in a small fridge, stock it with drinks. We order pizza for late-night work sessions. The walls, which were once bare and dusty, are now covered in whiteboards filled with our ideas. We are building something amazing. All the while, we hear whispers from the Phoenix team. They are not doing so well. We hear about it from Charlie mostly. She's the only one from that team who is even remotely friendly to us. Sometimes she'll pass by our closet on her way to the kitchen and give us a sort of sad, sympathetic look. One afternoon, she stops by. She looks exhausted. "How's it going in here?" she asks, peering into our cramped space. "Living the dream," Otis deadpans without looking up from his screen. She sighs. "At least you're getting something done." She tells us that the Phoenix project is a disaster. It turns out that a team built on ideology instead of skill doesn't work very well. Ivana's management style consists of endless ideation sessions and emotional check-ins. They've spent 6 weeks arguing about the project's mission statement. They had a 3-day off-site retreat to determine the personality of the product. There is no technical lead because Ivana felt that such a role was too hierarchical. As a result, nobody can make a final decision on the core architecture. They have a beautiful project plan, full of colors and charts, but they haven't written a single line of functional code. Charlie, being one of the more competent developers, is tearing her hair out. Every time she tries to bring up a technical roadblock, Ivana shuts her down, accusing her of having a negative mindset and not trusting the process. Ivana is trying to manage a complex software project like it's a group therapy session, and it's failing spectacularly. After Charlie leaves, we look at each other. We don't feel victorious. We just feel a sort of grim satisfaction. We knew this would happen. We just have to keep our heads down and keep working. Another month goes by. Cerberus is starting to look like a real product. Osman has finished the back-end rebuild. It's a masterpiece. It's fast, stable, and scalable. Otis has a working prototype of the new interface. It's clean, intuitive, and powerful. I've put together a 50-page presentation that details the market, the strategy, the potential revenue, and a full roadmap for launch. We're almost ready. We decide to integrate all our work into a single, functional demo. This is the final push. For a solid week, we barely sleep. The closet is a mess of empty coffee cups and pizza boxes. We are running on fumes and pure adrenaline. The final piece of code clicks into place late one evening. Osman runs the final build. We all hold our breath. It works. It actually works. Otis clicks through the demo, showing off the features. The data loads instantly. The dashboards are beautiful. We've done it. We've taken a failed project that was left for dead and turned it into what is probably the best piece of software this company has ever produced. We did it in a dusty closet with no budget and no support. A profound sense of accomplishment washes over us. We sit back in our chairs, too tired to even celebrate properly. We just look at the screen, at our creation. Suddenly, there's a soft knock on the doorframe. We all jump. It's Charlie. She's standing there, looking like she's seen a ghost. She must have been walking by and seen the light on. Her eyes are wide, fixed on the monitor. "What is that?" she whispers, stepping into the room. Otis, for once, is speechless. "That's Chimera," she says, her voice full of disbelief. "But it's working. It's fast." She walks closer to the screen, her professional curiosity overriding everything else. "How did you fix the database latency? Did you rewrite the query handler? And this UI? It's incredible. It's so responsive." She looks from the screen to the three of us, our exhausted but proud faces. She sees the whiteboards covered in diagrams. She sees the empty pizza boxes, and in that moment, she understands everything. She understands what we've been doing in here for the past 2 months, and she understands what a complete, catastrophic failure her own team has become. The look on her face is a mixture of awe, shame, and something else. Maybe envy. She doesn't say another word. She just backs out of the room slowly, her eyes never leaving the screen, and disappears down the hallway. We sit in silence for a moment after she leaves. "Well," Otis says, finally breaking the quiet, "the cat's out of the bag." I nod. "It doesn't matter. We're ready. The time has come to show the world what we've built in the dark." The next morning, the atmosphere is thick with unspoken tension. We know she knows. The question is, what will she do? I expect her to go straight to Ivana, but she doesn't. She avoids us all day. If we pass her in the hallway, she looks at the floor. It feels like we're all just waiting for the axe to fall. I have a quiet word with Otis and Osman. We agree to just keep our heads down. The project is done. We have the demo saved on multiple secure drives. Whatever happens now, we have the proof of our work. The other shoe finally drops a couple of days later. Charlie comes to our closet again. This time, she looks angry. She tells us she went to Ivana. She didn't try to rat us out. She did it out of concern for her own team. She apparently told Ivana that they were critically behind schedule, and that she had seen what we were working on, and that it was light years ahead of their concept. She suggested that maybe they should reconsider their approach, perhaps even collaborate. Ivana's reaction was apparently a sight to behold. She didn't get angry in a loud way. She got cold. She told Charlie that she was disappointed in her. She said that Charlie had clearly been influenced by the negative and cynical energy emanating from our isolated enclave. She talked about how a scarcity mindset was a symptom of patriarchal thinking, and that by comparing their progress to ours, Charlie was playing into the very competitive framework they were trying to dismantle. She basically told her that our work didn't matter because it was born from a toxic male environment, and that their work, no matter how slow, was inherently superior because it was being created through a holistic and empowering process. She finished by putting Charlie on a formal performance improvement plan for her lack of faith in the project's vision. Charlie is furious, not just for herself, but at the sheer unadulterated delusion of it all. She's building a cult, not a product, she says before storming off. Now we know where we stand. There will be no collaboration, no reason. Ivana is going to ride this train all the way to the end of the line, even if it's off a cliff. So we wait, we polish the demo, we run stress tests, we write documentation, we act as if nothing has happened. The trigger comes about a week later. An email. It's from the director's executive assistant. The subject line, Mandatory Q3 Project Review. The body of the email is short and to the point. The director wants a full progress report on all major projects. The meeting is in 1 week. All team leads are to present. Working demos are expected. A chill goes down my spine. This is it. Otis reads the email over my shoulder. So, he says dryly, the day of reckoning is at hand. That evening, we stay late. We huddle in the closet. We have a decision to make. What's our play? Option 1, we lay low. We don't say anything. We let Ivana present her train wreck, and then later, we find a way to rediscover our work. It's the safe option. We avoid direct confrontation. Option 2, we go in there and show him what we built. We hijack the meeting. High risk, high reward. It could blow up in our faces. The director might see it as insubordination. We could all be fired. Osman, who has been silent, speaks up. We did the work, he says simply. We should show the work. Otis nods. He's right. If we hide it, we let her win. Let's go down swinging if we have to. I look at them, my team. They're not just colleagues anymore. We've been through something together in this little room. We forged a real bond out of spite and a shared desire to just build something good. All right, I say. Option 2, it is. Let's prepare for war. The next week is spent on a different kind of work. We're not coding or designing, we're rehearsing. We plan out our presentation to the minute. We want it to be perfect. We decide Otis will run the demo. He designed the UI, he knows it best. His cynical, no-nonsense delivery will be the perfect contrast to Ivana's corporate fluff. Osman will be on standby for any deep technical questions. If the director wants to know about database architecture or server load, Osman will be ready with precise, factual answers. I will handle the introduction and the business case. The why, the money. That's the only language the director truly understands. We run through it again and again. We anticipate questions. We prepare answers. We trim every ounce of fat. Our presentation will be 10 minutes long, maximum, all signal, no noise. The day of the meeting arrives. We walk into the main boardroom. The director is sitting at the head of the table, looking impatient. Ivana and the entire Phoenix team are there, sitting on one side of the table. They all look confident, smiling and chatting amongst themselves. They have a stack of glossy, professionally printed presentation booklets in front of them. The three of us sit down on the other side. We have nothing but a single beat-up laptop. Ivana gives us a look of pitying contempt, as if she's wondering why the janitorial staff is in her meeting. The director clears his throat. Let's get started. Ivana, you're up first. Project Phoenix. Show me what you've got. Ivana stands up, beaming. Thank you. We are all so incredibly excited to share the journey we've been on. What follows is exactly what we expected, but it's somehow even worse. She doesn't talk about the product. She talks about the process. She talks about the emotional architecture of the user experience. She brings up a slide with a word cloud of values that the team decided the product should embody. Words like empowerment, connection, authenticity. She has team members stand up and talk about how the project has made them feel. 10 minutes go by, 20, 30. I can see the director's patience wearing thin. He's tapping his pen on the table. This is all very interesting, Ivana, he says, his voice tight. But where's the product? Let's see the demo. Ivana's smile falters for just a second. Well, she says, we've found that rushing to a demo can stifle organic creativity. Right now, we are in the final stages of the conceptualization phase. The conceptualization phase, the director repeats, his voice dangerously quiet. You've had 3 months, a hand-picked team, and a virtually unlimited budget. What do you have to show for it? We have a comprehensive roadmap, she says, clicking to a slide that is a hopelessly complex Gantt chart of vague milestones stretching out for the next 18 months. And a fully realized brand identity. The director stares at the slide. He looks at Ivana. The silence in the room is deafening. So, to be clear, he says, his words like chips of ice, you have nothing. You have a collection of drawings and buzzwords. Is that correct? Ivana opens her mouth, then closes it. She has no answer. The smug confidence has completely drained from her face. Her team members are all staring at the table, refusing to make eye contact. The director looks like he's about to explode. He slams his pen down on the table. This is unacceptable. This is a catastrophic failure of management. He's about to end the meeting right there. I see my opening. It's now or never. I raise my hand slightly. Sir, I say, my voice steady, if I may. The director turns his head and looks at me, surprised. He'd probably forgotten we were even in the room. Ivana glares at me with pure venom in her eyes. This meeting is about Project Phoenix, she snaps. The legacy team is not on the agenda. The director ignores her. He looks at me. What is it, Alan? As part of our assignment to maintain legacy systems, I begin, choosing my words carefully. We identified some significant opportunities for optimization in an older, deprecated platform. We have a brief demonstration of the results, if you have 10 minutes. The director leans back in his chair. He looks at Ivana's disastrous presentation, then at our single laptop. A flicker of curiosity crosses his face. He's a businessman. He smells an opportunity. Fine, he says. 10 minutes. Show me. This is it. I nod to Osman, who calmly walks to the front of the table and connects our laptop to the main projector. I stand up. A few years ago, this company developed a powerful analytics tool called Project Chimera, I start. It failed due to performance issues and a poor user experience. We believe we have solved those issues. I click to our first and only slide. It has our unofficial project name on it, Project Cerberus. Below the name are 3 bullet points summarizing the business case. New revenue stream, high margin subscriptions, and minimal initial investment. I'll now hand over to Otis for a live demonstration of the platform. I sit down. Otis takes the floor. He doesn't stand up. He just sits there with the keyboard. He doesn't try to sell it. He just shows it. He opens the login screen. The interface that appears on the giant screen is stunning. It's clean, modern, and incredibly slick. This is the new Cerberus dashboard, Otis says, his voice flat and professional. He starts clicking. He loads a massive dataset that would have crashed the old Chimera. It loads in less than a second. A collective gasp comes from the Phoenix team's side of the table. He glides through the features. He generates complex reports with a single click. He visualizes the data in beautiful interactive charts. He shows how a user can build a custom report in under a minute, a task that took over an hour on the old system. The room is silent except for the sound of Otis's calm narration and the clicking of the keyboard. He's showing them something that doesn't just work, but works brilliantly. It's not a concept. It's not a dream. It's a finished product. When he's done, he just says, "That concludes the demo," and leans back in his chair. The director is staring at the screen, speechless. He looks like he's just seen a unicorn. He slowly turns his head to Osman. "Technically," he says, "how is this possible? The original platform couldn't handle a tenth of this load." Osman leans forward slightly. He speaks in his usual quiet, precise manner. He explains the new asynchronous microservices architecture, the optimized database query language, and the load balancing protocols. He doesn't dumb it down. He explains it as one engineer to another. The director nods slowly, understanding. He gets it. This isn't a cosmetic facelift. This is a complete rebuild from the ground up, done by experts. Finally, he turns back to me. And the business case? He asks. You're confident you can sell this? I walk him through the numbers, the market research I did, the potential client list, the tiered pricing model, the projected revenue for the first year. It's all there, a complete package, a product, a technical foundation, and a strategy to make money. When I'm finished, a long silence hangs in the room. The director looks at the screen, where our beautiful functional product is displayed. Then he looks at Ivana's side of the table, at her useless glossy booklets filled with empty words. Then he looks back at us, three guys who have been working in a closet for 3 months. He takes a deep breath. He looks Ivana dead in the eye. Ivana, he says, and his voice has a terrifying calmness to it. What have you been doing for the past 3 months? She just stares at him, her face pale. She has nothing, no excuse, no defense. The director stands up. Effective immediately, Project Phoenix is terminated, he announces to the room. All budget and resources allocated to Phoenix are hereby transferred to Project Cerberus. He points at me. Alan, you are now the lead of this project. You report directly to me. Your team is moving into the corner office. Today. Hire who you need. Get whatever equipment you want. I want a launch plan on my desk by Monday. Then he turns his gaze back to Ivana. Her face has crumpled. As for you, he says, his voice dropping even lower. My office. Now. He turns and walks out of the room without another word. Ivana stands there for a second, frozen. Then she slowly gathers her things, her hands shaking, and follows him out. She doesn't look at anyone. The Phoenix team is left sitting there, completely stunned, in the ruins of their project. We did it. We actually did it. The aftermath is swift and decisive. An hour after the meeting, an email goes out from HR announcing that Ivana has decided to pursue other opportunities. We all know what that means. Movers come and pack up the Phoenix team's desks. Most of them are reassigned to other departments. Some just quit. We move out of the closet and into the big, beautiful corner office with the windows and the fancy espresso machine. The feeling is surreal. The first thing Otis does is unplug the ridiculously complicated coffee machine and replaces it with a simple, reliable drip coffee maker. The first week in the new space is about setting up our new reality. We are now in charge of the most important project in the company. On the Monday after the presentation, Charlie knocks on our new glass door. She looks nervous, but determined. I heard you got the green light, she says, and that you might be expanding the team. I nod. We are. I know how the last few months looked, she says, her voice shaking a little. But I'm a good developer. I just want to work on a good product. If you have a spot, I'd like to apply. I look at Otis and Osman. They both give me a slight nod. Competence is all that matters. Welcome to the team, Charlie, I say. A huge smile of relief breaks out on her face. The project launches 3 months later. It's a massive success. It brings in more revenue in its first 6 months than the old product did in its best year. Our team becomes a kind of legend in the company, the closet crew who built a game changer. Sometimes, when I'm sitting in my nice new office, looking out the big window, I think back to that dusty, buzzing storage room. They tried to put us in a box, to label us as obsolete, to write us off. They thought that by taking away our resources and our status, they could make us irrelevant. But they forgot one thing. They left us alone and let us work. And in the end, that was the only resource we ever really needed.